Hi everyone, welcome to this update video. I hope that you are doing great. So this is my second post for today, not something I've done in quite a while, and we're going to be talking about tropical storm Milton, which recently formed. So I had made a comment this morning under my initial update video for today that if we were to see a tropical depression or storm actually form today, I'll do a second update. So here we are. Tropical storm Milton is now here, and it is poised to strengthen, and it is likely to be a major hurricane at the time when it would make landfall in the state of Florida as we head into the middle of the new week. So we're going to be taking a look at all the details with what's going on with the Milton, what is expected of it, and of course we'll be diving into some model data as well. So let's go ahead, and as we switch to the satellite imagery, 3 active tropical cyclones. So major hurricane Kirk still out there. It is still a major hurricane right now, not currently a direct threat to land, but of course it is generating those swells, so that's going to affect the US East Coast as we're going to be headed into tomorrow. Next, there's Hurricane Leslie, holding steady as a cat 1 hurricane out there, not a problem for anyone, and newly formed Milton, which will become a problem for Florida. And not just Florida, but even the northwestern Bahamas as well need to be on watch. And by tomorrow, some hurricane and even storm surge watches could be issued by the National Hurricane Center. As we take a closer look at the Caribbean, here we can see all of these white dots popping up around. So that's indicative of lightning strikes. So there's been some thunderstorms and even some showers in parts of the Greater Antilles. Earlier in Trinidad, there was quite a bit of activity, even Tobago as well in some areas. And for Central America, and it's a likelihood we'll see some more thunderstorms and showers popping up across the area for Central America and even parts of Northern and South America as we head through the rest of the evening. Then into the Gulf, there we've got Milton. So it is in its initial development stage, so it's not looking the absolute best, but it is expected to be in a conducive environment to allow for it to quickly strengthen over the course of the coming few days. So let's go ahead and take a look at the details with regards to Milton. And first, we're going on to the cone forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Okay, here we go. So we can see here that Milton is currently sustaining winds up to 40 miles per hour at maximum and moving to the northeast at 3 miles per hour. So it's not moving a lot right now, but it's going to move generally off to the east and then the east, northeast, and northeast as we head throughout the new week. So by early on Monday, maybe late Sunday to early Monday, it is expected to achieve hurricane status and further intensify. And we see that M, that represents major hurricane status. And a major hurricane is any hurricane that's a Cat 3, 4, or 5. So winds exceeding 111 miles per hour, and we've got a major hurricane. So a major hurricane is expected up until the point of landfall sometime on Wednesday. For now, that is being shown as Wednesday afternoon for Florida. And then it could become post-tropical as it emerges into the Atlantic waters. So strengthening is forecast, and we've got the models pretty much on board with this. So as we look at the model intensity guidance, here we can see quite a few models available, and the majority are expected to become a hurricane and even a major hurricane. We even see a couple showing that this thing could become a Cat 4, which is not at all out of the question. And then in terms of the track, we don't have much variation. So a general track to the east and the northeast is expected, with Milton making its way to the Gulf Coast of Florida. So West Florida will definitely be impacted. There will likely be some variation into where exactly in West Florida will be impacted. However, nonetheless, it's likely that the entire state is going to feel impacts from Milton in one way or the other. But the magnitude of impacts will all be dependent on the proximity of the different areas to the center. Well, not necessarily the center, but the eye wall of the system, because it's likely to be a major hurricane at that point, and the strongest winds, the worst of the impacts would be in the eye wall. So that is something that is to take note of as well. So as I said, there could be some hurricane and storm surge watches in effect. So storm surge meaning the coastal flooding caused by the winds of the system pushing the water on shore, flooding coastal areas, and that's usually a major problem. So if you're going to be under that storm surge watch or even a hurricane watch, please take the necessary precautions. We saw what happened with Helene, and unfortunately just 2 weeks later there's going to be another major hurricane impact. It's pretty likely at this point. So please take all necessary precautions, and please listen to your local officials as well. So the impacts, of course, the storm surge, the heavy rainfall and lesion flooding, as well as those very strong winds. So there's likely to be a plethora of power outages across the state of Florida. And as it relates to the rainfall, this is a look at the rainfall forecast map, and this is through Thursday evening. So between now and then, this is the accumulated rain expected. So there could be some isolated totals, maybe 8 to 12 inches in parts of Florida. So definitely some flood triggering rainfall. And not only Florida, but as I had mentioned before, the Northwest Bahamas could also be impacted by Milton. It depends on where exactly the system is going to go, and also the size of it, because if we're talking about a sizable hurricane, the impacts will definitely be pretty far and wide from where the actual center of it is. So that's something that we want to take note of as well. And the next couple of days will be crucial. But yeah, it's very much likely we'll see Milton intensify into a major hurricane up onto the point of landfall. Maybe not straight up to the point of landfall, because I have been watching some models and they suggest a bit of a weakening. We'll see how that goes. But the point is, a hurricane impact is definitely going to be highly likely by the middle of next week. And then, of course, there's that next area out there to watch. A tropical wave that will emerge, could develop as it makes its way off Africa. And aside from the Cape Verde Islands, when the system moves off and maybe unleashes some thunderstorms, those gusty winds as well, maybe nowhere else will be impacted, at least for the days to follow, since it will be out to sea and not be a direct bother for anyone. And so, of course, guys, I'll continue to keep you posted. Be on the lookout for my updated video tomorrow morning. But that is essentially what I wanted to share with you in this update this evening. So I do hope you found it to be informative. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll respond to you when I have the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.